If I told you a seemingly random Pharmercy strat beat the sim meta, would you believe me? Just last month, one of the best teams in the world, Crazy Raccoons, pulled out a duo older than Spylo to beat the sim meta. Keep in mind, Crazy Raccoons were already down 2 maps, but because of this simple swap, everything changed. So get ready for some questionable countercomps.
Get the fuck out of here!
Sim finally getting what she deserves, and a duo so infamous it transcends time. Fundamentally, Pharmercy as well as everyone else have 2 traits specific to countering Sim. First is they can prevent the Sim from even being able to get a TP down. Most obviously, this will be done mostly by the PHARAH, pelting down rockets around corners that are tough to avoid. And that's where the Mercy comes in with that damage boost too. But Ashe also helps with dynamites, and Ram can help with the shield and vortex too. In fact, you can see just how cooked TVNT is, with 3 angles around him plus a Ram shield to block any help from the Kiri. Keep these 3 angles in mind for later, because they're gonna help when beating good TPs. Anyways, all this pressure means that the Sim is forced to TP the Ram away defensively, preventing any creative TP that Yubi wants to do. But there is counterplay, notably to place TPs in locations where the Pharmercy can't see it. You'll know this is a similar idea important to teleporting on Reaper, but the exact same applies to Sim, as Yubi gets a seemingly sneaky TP in to rush the backline. However, he does just leave in 1.3 seconds. But the idea is that during the window when TP is active, Quartz can peek from a hidden angle and find value with the railgun. Sadly, he does lose charge while reaching the angle, even though clearly the Mercy is in a bit of a pickle, which actually exposes a hidden benefit of the Pharmercy comp, that because there's so much spam value, the margins for error on the Sim comp are incredibly thin. Speaking of which, when Newbie places a second TP, we nicely get into the second traits, punishing TPs. You might recognize these 2 traits from my Doom Widow video, because that was also a Sim counter, but the difference lays in how they punish TPs, which is thanks to the insane AoE damage. Dynamite plus damage boosted rockets means that even though Simple is able to get a Suzu, the TP immediately breaks and the damage still comes in. The Suzu's basically just quick pain relief, it doesn't actually deal with the main threats. And remember those 3 angles, that's why they're so important. If say the Ashe gets TP'd on, the Pharmercy is able to get free value uncontested, and Shu is able to land big nades too. If he still had nade, that is. As for the Mercy, her job is simple. You basically pivot between the Ashe and the PHARAH depending on how safe it is. Considering the PHARAH is going super deep, with funny Astro looking up like that Pepe meme, and since Quartz has a really good angle over the TP, it would make sense for Chorong to just chill out. In other words, don't take the risk, just pocket your Ashe. Still, because Quartz is fucking goated, he finds not just 1, but 2 trades regardless. And that's not even the most insane shit to come. In fact, he immediately goes Cassidy on second point, and it starts making a difference. Because of how narrow and linear second point is, the Pharmercy decide to flank all the way around behind to try and get a pincer, which, looking at it top down, results in a 3-2 split. Now, the Sim needs to make a move, otherwise she and her team are gonna get poked out. And because the Pharmercy are further away from their Ana Ashe than my dad is from me, Twisted Minds can 5-man rush the backline and basically just ignore the Pharmercy. I call this overloading, but the Pharmercy can counter it. Obviously in this fight, because the Cass is staring down the Pharmercy, it's really hard for them to interrupt the overloads. Only next fight, when the Pharmercy is left chilling on the high ground, do they put the Sim team in a serious pickle. The Pharmercy are literally uncontestable on the high ground, and it's not like the Sim team can rush the backline again, because if they do, the Pharmercy can actually intervene this time. So, Yubi just sits there and takes it like a good boy. And this angle taking plus the bob would count as a form of prevention. Even if Yubi didn't get his head chopped off, the bob would force the Sim team to act fast or die. Chorong on the Mercy just chills in the meantime, looking back to help out his backline every so often. There are little optimizations you can do, like damage boosting dynamites, which really does help considering he's the only one without an ultimate. Flicking back between your pivot points to increase awareness is also a good habit to do, as well as playing positions where you can see and fly to everyone on your team. Not to mention, when Heesang does try and go for the barrage and inevitably dies, Chorong uses the ram and his shield to try and safely get the res off. While a lot of this micro isn't groundbreaking, it's essential stuff. As for perks, Chorong picks Divine Momentum, which boosts your travel speed after cancelling GA. We sadly don't get to a point where we see the major perk unlocked, but I wouldn't be surprised if he picks the more situational chain boost, considering how good PHARAH are for pocket targets. Of course, Shu picks the new crit headshot perk, which you'll want to stick around to see come into effect later, and Heesang picks the new Sky Spy perk, which just min-maxes the damage on TPs. In fact, we directly see it take effect on third point, as Quartz gets hit with a 156 damage direct. Couple that with Lips Bob, and you basically make it impossible for Yubi to get a good TP off. In fairness, Simple just died to random bullshit. His Suzu literally goes through the map underneath him, so that's how he dies during Kitsune. Still, once again, Suzu is only a pain relief. I imagine it'd be hard for Crazy Raccoons to not win this fight. In hindsight, the only thing Sim can really do is TP to the right, underneath the high grounds, so you can avoid the damage boosted PHARAH spam. But of course, nobody's thinking about that against the surprise cheese comp. Now having won the fight, it's time for desperation swaps. Quartz goes for the Widow hero play thinking he's him, and while he actually is, not even he can pull a miracle this time. Heesang meanwhile barrages on points, the Ram's barely able to live, and Chorong just chills like the average Mercy main. But trust me, there's some crazy shit that Shu does on defense. What I find really poetic about this Pharmercy specifically though, is that Twisted Minds themselves have played it before. They literally have played these games before. This was almost 3 years ago, but it's rather beautiful that what used to be their biggest strength has now become their biggest kryptonite. Now you might imagine having capped with over 3 minutes, and with Chorong only dying once, why don't they play Mercy on defense? After all, Mercy was literally banned by Twisted Minds on the next map because it was problematic. Well, speaking of bans, Crazy Raccoons did ban D.Va to enable the Mercy. And D.Va would be really good here, as you can see TVNT just shot down the Ashe solo. It gets even better into Mercy, as she'd be denying whoever's getting the pockets. Conversely, the Wu Yang gets banned by Twisted Minds. And honestly, it's very reasonable. We've seen anti-sim teams play Wu Yang constantly because he can avoid TPs while punishing them super hard. So considering Mercy is effectively the second best option, and that Res might be more useful in defense, why isn't she being played? My best guess is that Mercy is just too high risk of a pick. In other words, on defense, you can't just go back to spawn and quickly swap. And because Kiri can get value on her own, while still supporting her DPS, it's the less greedy pick. I say all this, and Chorong still has some stupid deaths, and I'll soon get into it, but first, a quick coaching plug. Click the top link down below for more details. Now, remember when I said the sim comp has thin margins of error? That's not just because you'll die if you fuck up a TP. It's that, if you fuck up, Crazy Raccoons will farm an obscene amount of ult charge. Pay attention to the clock at the top and Heesang's ult charge. In the span of about 40 seconds, Heesang's already got barrage, and just a few seconds later, the Zarya gets blown up because of it. Yubi's also roughly 10% ahead of Lip at the beginning of this same fight, but Lip overtakes him by 10% during the barrage. The only exception is Simple because he'll be constantly healing the spam damage his entire team will take. By the way, those 3 angles haven't left. It's what allows this insane ult farm to go through. Yubi ends up tanking a dynamite because of it, getting a very mediocre TP, and while he gets all the support in the world, he still ends up going down. However, because Quartz is Quartz, he pushes and finds the kill onto Chorong. It's really the Nano and Barrage, plus the Yubi kill, that saves this fight. But now, Shu wants to go balls to the wall. Next fight, he hides in this little cubby, hitting the first shot onto Quartz, then the sleep darts, and landing the kill all by himself. I can't stress how big Shu's balls must be. You're already down 2 maps, and if you lose, you are gonna go home. He steps it up even further the fight after, flanking and catching Funny Astro, then using his major perk to headshot Quartz, and while Quartz does get low, again, he's Quartz. What else do you expect from him? That one pick actually opens up the entirety of second points, and looking at the ult economy, it's in their favour for once. However, Funny Astro ends up wasting the beats because he gets spooked by a body shot. The luck from Crazy Raccoons doesn't seem to end, as Max is on 5 fucking HP just before he gets his form in time, and with that, Crazy Raccoons clinch the map win. But sadly, you probably know how the story ends. Crazy Raccoons are torn to shreds in the next map, getting eliminated by Twisted Minds, and now, Shoes left the team and is now a free agent. But don't worry, a video on Crazy Raccoons' downfall will be coming very soon, so stay tuned. In the meantime, click the video on screen if you enjoyed, and until next time.